So Cenk of the Young Turks went on Piers Morgan's show, and they talked about a number of things, but one of the most important ones here is, of course, Kamala Harris picking Tim Walz for VP. They also get into an infuriating conversation about the Olympic boxer, the Algerian Olympic boxer, who people are insisting is a man, but of course, there's zero evidence of that. She has a vagina. She was born, identified by the doctors as a woman, raised as a woman. Perhaps she maybe has DSD or some higher levels of testosterone or whatever. They keep insisting she's a man, and it's based on nothing. And Cenk was seemingly losing his mind in that segment because they just keep asserting things that are wrong confidently, and he's like, what am I supposed to do with you people? But anyway, we're not going to talk about that in this this segment. We're going to talk about the back and forth on Tim Walz. So this is fun. This is fun because Cenk seems to have a good time here busting up all of the absurd arguments against Tim Walz. Let's get it.
It seems to me, Cenk, there's a very good point there, isn't there? Is that she is riding this sunny wave right now, Kamala Harris, but her record is there to be attacked. She's never been successful when she's actually had to run for anything. She's got this position now by default of her boss being a decaying wreck. Are you worried about the sunny factor, as Kevin so articulately put it?
No, there's only one thing that could be a curveball here that I'm worried about. I'll get to that in a second. But first of all, you guys bragging about how Trump has got the Beverly Hills and billionaire vote locked up is hilarious. I love it. Please keep going. Okay, so you're misunderstanding politics.
They literally did that, by the way. Piers Morgan was like, I'm here in Beverly Hills, and now I see Trump flags all over the place, and you couldn't mention him back in 2016 without people looking at you like you're an evil person, but now they're like, yes, Trump. That's not the argument you think it is. Hey, these Beverly Hills types, the multi-millionaires, are all with them, bro.
It isn't about left versus right, as it is populist versus establishment. And the fact that she didn't pick an establishment candidate as her VP helps her. It doesn't hurt her. So you think like, oh, right-winger or more conservative Democrat, more establishment Democrat would help her with moderates. No, it wouldn't, because those independents are not the moderates of mainstream media lore that are looking for policies that are right down the middle. No, they're looking for policies that are right down the middle of Washington. They're looking for policies that are right down the middle of Main Street, that are actually popular, like paid family leave, higher wages, better health care, all of these things that the populist wing of the Democratic Party has, and that Tim Walz is the champion of. So I love how wrong you guys are. And I think this is a totally good night, Irene, for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. And so I can't get enough of it. Now, in terms of the one curveball that could hurt, it's none of the things that you guys mentioned, and nobody cares about the tampons and all that. No, it's the giant war that Netanyahu is desperately
They do care about the tampons. You're wrong. No, but Cenk, you're wrong. You're completely wrong. Look at the furore going on over the Olympics.
Furore? What? The Fuhrer? Does he mean the Fuhrer? F-U-R-O-R? Okay. All right. They're actually going to argue that, like, bro, people are going to see that Tim Walz was decent to trans people and they're going to hate him, and we're going to run our whole campaign on trans stuff. Okay. Let me know how that goes.
And this completely, which we're going to come to, but this outrageous situation, we're not going to debate it now, we're going to come to that in a few minutes, but this outrageous situation of two biological males competing in the women's boxing is something that is inflamed most Americans. Now, they are. We're going to come to that in a moment. But my point is, you don't think these issues matter. I can tell you they matter. People do care about this stuff. They do care, actually, about tampons being put into male locker rooms and restrooms. They care about biological males going into women's dressing rooms and so on. This stuff matters to people. It matters to parents, I can tell you.
Look, I want you to run the campaign on tampons. I can't wait. Okay, we're going to run on paid family leave. We're going to run on protecting women's rights. We're going to protect the average American worker. She's gone populist. It's fantastic. You run a hateful campaign about how much you hate trans people, and my message to you is bye, bye, bye. Okay, you guys have no chance running that campaign.
We've already.
Hang on, Michael. I just want to say that when you say you guys, I have to remind you once again, Cenk, I'm not actually an identifying conservative. So
come on, Piers. After that intro?
No, you keep trying
after that intro where you frame Tim Walz as totally radical left. Come on, his policies, the core policies that he passed are all over 70% in popularity. You framed him as a radical. Are you kidding me?
Tim Walz is a progressive, radical, left-wing guy. He is.
Oh my God, that was embarrassing. Oh, Piers, you really stepped in it there, bro. Holy shit. Okay, so in the intro, yes, Piers' whole thing is he's a radical, he's an extremist, he's a far leftist. And then Cenk's like, okay, you're a conservative. At least in the context of when you make this argument and claim that Tim Walz is extreme, you're a conservative. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm a centrist. Guys, let me ask you a serious question here. What percentage of self-described centrists ultimately end up with the overwhelming majority of their arguments bolstering the right and shitting on the left? I want you to stop and think about that. What percentage of self-described centrists ultimately try to give themselves the veil of seriousness or moderation or intellectualism, but then fundamentally they wind up in the same place as some MAGA weirdo? It's a very high percentage. It's a very high percentage. And there's a difference between what you label yourself nominally and then what you are effectively, what you are in reality, right? So you could say, yes, I'm a, we've seen this all the time too. I'm a leftist. I'm a nominal leftist, but I'm going to be the person who shits on Democrats 100% of the time and gives Republicans a total pass for their more extreme ideas. And so, no, effectively, you are bolstering the right in that scenario, right? Piers Morgan, I'm a centrist, I'm a centrist, I'm a centrist. Okay, nominally, you can call yourself whatever the fuck you want to call yourself. But effectively, you end up with majority of your arguments bolstering the right-wing narrative and shitting on the left. And I'm not even just talking Democrat versus Republican here. I'm talking literal, like, liberal/leftist ideas versus conservative ideas, right? And so that's what this is. He's saying he's a radical. He's saying he's an extremist. And Cenk is like, by what standard? Because if you look at Tim Walz's actual policies, this isn't close. He's incredibly popular. He passes things that the majority of Americans want. So at least by one definition, he's the moderate. He's the centrist in the sense that he's right in the center of mainstream American opinion. Americans, by wide margins, like free school breakfast for kids, free school lunch for kids, legal marijuana. They like 12 weeks paid family leave and 12 weeks paid sick leave. These are all things that he did. Tim Walz raised wages for people. These are all things that are popular. So he's a radical extremist. Well, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Is your argument that 70% of the American public are radical extremists? Because if you're willing to say that, then sure, I guess Tim Walz is a radical extremist. We can run with that. But no, the implication, of course, is this is something people don't want. This is something the public is against. And he's on the fringe and doing all these insane things. And by the way, again, what do they hyper-focus on to try to make their argument? Usually it's, he is a decent person to trans people. He thinks they count. Like, okay. Literally, go ahead. Run the election on tampons. We dare you. Like, I mean, Kamala and Tim Walz wouldn't have to do anything in that scenario to win. They will just win because people will look at you and be like, you're fucking weird. and that's what it is, right? That's what Tim Walz, accurately labeled them. And so, yeah. And then Piers Morgan tries to bring in Michael Knowles to like bail him out here. It's like, well, you're further proving Cenk's point. I'm not a right winger. Hey, very openly right-wing guy, defend the position I just took. Okay. You're giving away the game here. You're giving away the game. So they're losing their minds, man. They've totally lost touch with reality. I think the main point is the right doesn't have that normie feel anymore. They don't have that normie vibe. They don't have the, we're the down-to-earth people thing. You could argue that back during Trump's first wave in 2016 and 2016, and you got all of his right-wing shit posters, and their whole thing is like, we're in favor of free speech, and we should be allowed to tell jokes, and you guys got to stop policing us. You guys are authoritarian. You could argue there was like a little bit of a normie vibe. Like, look, we're just trying to make jokes and everything be okay. But now the roles have reversed completely. Now it's Tim Walz and Kamala Harris that are giving speeches saying, we're in favor of freedom. My rule is people need to mind their own damn business. You might not agree with what I do, but mind your own damn business. This is Tim Walz's line. And of course, they're talking about abortion rights on that front. But that extends beyond that. Again, you want to run your campaign on trans people and you want to run your campaign. I'm not kidding. There was some right-wing commentator who said, Tim Walz looks like a cuck. Okay, go ahead. Let me know how it works out for you. You're not going to be happy, is my guess. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.